We helped a brand to reduce the product cost from $30 to $12.5 without compromising quality. In this case study, I will show you exactly how we did it, and you can do it also. My name is Omer Sasson, and for the last decade, I'm living in Asia and helping brands around the world to source and develop high quality products in Asia. So this company have been in business for many years, and they were making their product locally. They knew they were overpaying because they're making them locally, but they tried to do it one time in China 2 years ago, and it was a totally disaster. So when they contacted us, they want us to help them reduce the price in $7 per unit. Right now they were paying $30 per unit, but they didn't want to buy too much of a stock because they were used to make this locally. They used to buy small order, and they didn't want in terms of cash flow now to make a huge order. So the challenge here was, how can we help them to reduce the cost even more than $7 without making them pay much more in total order cost? And we did it in 3 steps. Step number 1 was to find the best and most suitable supplier for the product in terms of quality and cost. Step number 2 in the strategy was, even after we found the best supplier, how we take the total product cost and reduce it even more. And number 3 was how we find the best balance between unit cost and between total order cost and investment. So step number 1, finding the best factory, and we did it using our regular method, which is contacting a huge amount of suppliers. In this case, it was 500 factories. Both factories we already know from the past, and new suppliers we were reaching out to. Part number 2 would be to check them, then we would compare them and verify the information, because anyone can give good price, but we want to check they actually can make this price in a good quality. And then we took the best factory after making sample, and we did factory audit, because we really wanted to make sure the quality of the factory and capability in production time, how many units it can do, the quality control system is good enough so the buyer can work with this factory for the long term. After finding a suitable factory, now what we needed to do was to look at the different parts and processes of making this product and see how we can reduce the price even more. And we did it by really researching and creating a breakdown of all the cost, all the different lines in the Excel, how much each process, each material, each part, labor cost, QC, export, logistics, and everything, each line, how much it costs, because this is really the way in order to understand which part I can reduce and which price, which part and cost I just need to accept. And when we did it, we really understood that there are 2 parts we can reduce the cost compared to what the factory gave us, because the factory gave us all include price of the product, packaging, and everything around it, exclude shipping, of course, because shipping we always do separately. And we found that the price the factory gave us for the box, and it was high quality box, and for the bag were too high. It was $3.7. So what we did is we were looking for other factories only for the box and for the bag, and we found a very good factory that can make it in $2 instead of $3.7. And our plan was to make the box and the bag in the other factory and just to ship the goods from this factory to the main factory that makes the product. And now, after we did all of this and we reduced the price even more, our task was to find a sweet spot between quantity and unit price. Because everyone knows that the bigger the quantity in China, the better the price. But you need to understand that you have sweet spots. I mean, you have levels of quantity where suddenly the price is getting much better. But of course, we had to take into account that the buyer didn't want to make too big of an order because of cash flow. And now I'm going to show you how we did it and how you can do it also. So we were taking all the different costs in the Excel, and we were looking for different scenarios, how they will spread on different quantities. And I will tell you, just for example, a very professional quality inspector will cost you $370 per day of work if you make 500 pieces in this specific factory location. But if you make 1,000 pieces, the QC will cost you only $40 more, $410, because the inspector can still do it in 1 day of work, and the driving expenses are the same. So suddenly, instead of 0.74 QC cost per unit, it became 0.41. Next thing was a molding cost. Now, when saying molding cost, people usually think only about very big and expensive plastic mold cost, but you need to know that in production, you have also like small mold or setup fee, when you want to make a template for a logo for a machine, for printing, for color, for die cuts. You have like different setup cost and molding cost. Now it's small cost, so usually the factories will give you this already including the unit price. We don't want it. Number one, because I said we want to see how we can save and optimize cost. And number two, because if we understand it's really only a one-time cost, we prefer to pay it in the first order as a fixed fee, and then in the following order, we don't have to pay it again. And we found that the small setup and molding cost all include were $300. Now for 500 pieces, if you make them, it will cost you $0.6. But if you make 1,000 pieces of product, it will cost you $0.3. And I think you can see now, if you go line by line and you check different scenarios of different quantities, how you can find the best quantity where you can optimize the unit cost, but you still don't need to make the order too big. Like we didn't ask the customer to buy 2,000 or 10,000 pieces. We only increased it from 500 to 1,000, and we really optimized the cost per unit. Final cost. So we found that if they will make 1,000 pieces, their product cost will be $5.5 per unit, and total operational cost, UC logistics, packaging, and more, will cost altogether $7,000, which means if you take the $7,000 and divide them by the 1,000 unit, your total cost will be $12,500 per order, and the unit cost will be $12.5. And I say it again, $12.5 compared to the $30 per unit they were paying before. So if you want to get the best possible price for your product, remember it's not just about finding the best factory. Yes, you need to find the best and most suitable factory for your product. But then what you need to do is to check what cost can you reduce. Maybe you can switch or separate parts or processes, and then optimizing and finding the sweet spot between unit price and order quantity.